What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday and welcome in to the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Playbook Show. This is a DraftKings preview for the MLB DFS slate on Monday, May 20th. We have an 8-game main slate over on DraftKings kicking off at 6:40 Eastern Standard Time. Brewers Marlins, barn burner that kicks off the slate at 6:40. What's going on? I am James Grande. I'm going to be riding solo for today's podcast. I'm sure some of you have seen me in the Fantasy Alarm streets for quite some time. Just getting back off the NBA streets, diving back into MLB with your breakdown for today. If this is your first time tuning in to the breakdown here for Fantasy Alarm, we will be going position by position. So, as per usual, that means we will start off at the pitcher's position and we will start there. So, above 9K, if we just want to jump right into things, we have 5 names. 2 of them stick out to me. Of course, you could play Yamamoto at home, it's a good pitcher's ballpark. Not so much in on Sonny Gray against Baltimore. First name that I gravitated to was Pablo Lopez here at $9,500 on DraftKings. Obviously, coming off a little bit of a rocky start, allowing 10 hits to the Yankees, but that's been par for the course against this Yankees offense lately. And the Washington Nationals lineup is not that. They are 23rd in OPS against right-handed pitching this year with a 22% strikeout rate, and their 128 team ISO ranks 26th. So Pablo Lopez definitely on pace here to get back on track. He had been rolling coming into that start against the Yankees, at least in the strikeout department: 10, 8, 8, 6, 7, 7, and in the 6 previous starts. So I'm definitely interested in Pablo Lopez 95. Going to pass on Logan Gilbert in Yankee Stadium with the Yankees ranking right at the top of the league in terms of OPS and ISO against righties. That brings me to Tanner Houck. And I think Houck is a little bit interesting here against Tampa. Just faced them, obviously pitched pretty well, fell an inning, an out away from a quality start. Didn't register a win, hasn't registered a win since April 17th. So over a month. Some would say he's due. But this is obviously an upgrade in Pitchers Park. The last 2 starts he's made has been in hitter haven in Fenway Park. But Houck has looked relatively good this year, despite not winning a lot of games. 2.17 ERA is great. Nearly a strikeout an inning, just 1 strikeout less than innings pitched. And he gets a Tampa Bay team ranking 20th in OPS with a 24% strikeout rate, and they're 28th in ISO against right-handed pitching. So I don't love the price tag necessarily on Tanner Houck, but I do believe there's solid upside here heading into a really good pitching environment against a subpar offense. So I do like Tanner Houck at 91. I like Framber's price, but I don't love the matchup. The Angels do have a lot of guys that can hit lefties well. So if you end up on Framber, obviously there's a really high ceiling at 8,800. After he kind of struggled, obviously the price dipped below 8K, and that was never going to last. And we're not going to likely see his price under 9K for much longer this year. It's going to hover around $10,000 as long as we continue to see the Framber Valdez we've seen the last few years. So if you want to get the Framber, I have no problems with it at 88. But I think the next 2 names under Valdez are interesting. Marcus Stroman at home is a little bit interesting. Now, he hasn't flashed a lot of strikeout upside lately, 5 or less strikeouts in 4 straight. He does have 9 against Oakland. He does have 7 against Miami. He does have 6 against Toronto. So we know it's in his bag to miss bats. And what does Seattle do? Well, 29% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching this year. I would classify that as missing bats or missing a lot of pitches with your bat if you're Seattle. So 8,300 for Stroman is pretty solid. He's actually been over a strikeout per inning at home this year, which isn't necessarily surprising considering the dimensions of the ballpark, like having to sell out for more strikeouts. Obviously, that's led to maybe more hittable pitches at times. when you're trying to make the perfect pitch and 5 home runs. That happens at Yankee Stadium, but it's a good matchup overall. It's not even just the strikeout rate that Seattle has, the 25th in OPS against right-handed pitching. Their offense just doesn't look the same as it has in the last few years that in which they've been playoff teams. So I like Stroman 83, and obviously, everyone's darling from since last year just needs to stay off the injury list. 13 strikeouts and 2 starts for Taj Bradley so far, $8,000, and the 2 starts he's made against the Yankees, who own the best record in the American League, and in Fenway, and he hasn't had much trouble in either of those games. I mean, 11 innings, 13 strikeouts to just 3 walks, 3 earned runs. He's looked great, and obviously the price did not move from his last start, and now he has another game at home, where he faced the Yankees. So I really like Taj Bradley at 8K. I think he's going to be a pretty popular pick here, despite Boston's offense, being pretty good. They do strike out a bunch, 24% strikeout rate against righties. So give me Taj Bradley of the 8K tier is my favorite arm. When we move down the list, I think the value tier is a little bit interesting. It's very hard to ignore what Reese Olson has done despite the matchup, right? Casey's a top 10 offense against right-handed pitching. But Reese Olson has been pretty lights out over his last 4 starts. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who's just not hittable right now? I mean, all the ground balls for Reese Olson, just 2 earned runs total over his last 4 starts. Just math is hard. Just 5 over his last 6 starts overall. I mean, doesn't really get better than that. I would say the only thing that's really lacking are the this column right here, wins and losses. I mean, he is not getting any help from his offense. I mean, 0 runs, 4 runs, 1 run, 0 runs, 3 runs. I mean, no, there can't be worse luck right now than Reese Olson. I refuse to believe it. But the everything else checks out. He's getting deep into games. Nobody is hitting him, and you know, $6,900, nice for a guy who's pitching this well. It's hard to ignore. But on the flip side, Michael Waka's pitched fairly well over his last few starts. Just 3 earned runs over his last 12 innings, including 13 strikeouts over that span. Back-to-back wins on the road. Now he returns home against Detroit. Didn't fare well against Detroit earlier in the year, but we put that behind us and we move on and look at the Michael Waka of lately. Of late, what have you done for me lately? Well, he's looked really good in his last 2 starts. So Waka at 66 is interesting. And I must say, Joe Ross is a little bit interesting as well, just considering the matchup against Miami. He has been very hit or miss. I mean, it's basically been every other start, and that's obviously not a predictable thing. I'm not insinuating he's going to have a bad start here just because he had a good start last time out, but it's just been a roller coaster ride. But this is an elite matchup for opposing pitchers, and when he's been good, he's been a very serviceable pitcher. Twice he's given us 20 plus fantasy point upside, and he's sub 6K. I mean, if you want a pitcher for sub 6K with 20 plus fantasy point upside, and you get that in tournaments, that's a pretty good spot to be in. So I think between Olsen, Waka, and Ross, I think you have options between all three, and then it just comes down to who do you like more in the Detroit KC game? You probably favor the KC offense, but if you need 1,100 to $800 in savings, well, Joe Ross is there as well against Miami. So that'll do it for pitcher. Let's move over to the catcher's position. Not a position that's typically used to spend up on, but alas, you do have a $5,800 pitching option that we may dip our toes into. Plus, I didn't really like the 10K option, so pitcher might not be a position that we necessarily spend up on. So if you do want to play Babe Ruth, I mean William Contreras, you can, because I do think Milwaukee is a pretty good stack here, going up against Ryan Weathers. Contreras has been amazing. So has Adley Rutschman. I don't think we need to spend 5,600, despite Sonny Gray's recent struggles the last 2 starts he's made. But if you want to, that's obviously an option if you want to go there. No one's gonna fault you for it. So if you get there, you get there, and so be it. Will Smith is, having a good year, just struggling lately. Sometimes, again, what have you done for me lately? Um, it's a good spot against Slade Saccone. So if you want to go there, fine. Ryan Jeffers, I think, is a very interesting spot. $4,800 gets a lefty. 10 home runs for Ryan Jeffers this year. If you had that on your bingo card on May 20th, um, salute to you. Salute to you. Logan O'Hoppe, if you don't trust Framber Valdez to continue to pitch well. On the flip side, Yanier Diaz, I think, is in a very good spot. I know um, he hasn't gotten off to the start I think many people thought he would after becoming the primary catcher. I mean, he was amazing last year, kind of out of the blue offensively. So if you want to get to Diaz, Detmers has been really, really struggling. So you could definitely get there at 4K. I do think, though, Gary Sanchez is one of my favorite catchers on the slate in tournaments. Obviously, the power has been on display lately. I mean, 6 home runs from the catcher position splitting time is not bad at all. And this could be a day where they're playing double catchers. So I do like Gary Sanchez. Again, another season where he has had a lot of success against left-handed pitching. So give me Gary Sanchez 3,700 as one of my favorite catching options of the day. You could definitely play Connor Wong, who continues to hit in the middle of the Boston lineup and have a lot of success. I talked about Diaz, but if Caratini's in the lineup, 3,300 makes for a very good punt there. And then Logan Gilbert has been good. So have the Yankees catchers. I mean, Jose Trevino, especially. If one of these two are in the, I mean, let me rephrase that because obviously one of Trevino or Austin Wells will be in the lineup. Whichever is in the lineup, if you wanted to play for as a punt, I have no problem. And I didn't find anything much else. So let's shift our attention over to first base, where we have either Dodger option in Otani or Freddie Freeman. Of course, you can play Shohei Otani. Of course, you can play Freddie Freeman. There's a reason why Otani is $1,000 more. He has been the significantly better player. He also has multi-position eligibility, which is a bonus here. So if you have the money, for sure, getting to Otani makes sense. Um, After that, Anthony Rizzo is fine. I don't hate Ryan O'Hearn. He's off to a pretty good start again. Definitely resurgence of a career here in Baltimore over the last 2 years. So you can get to O'Hearn. I love the Goldschmidt price, but he has no signs of really coming back to life. I know he's on a little bit of a hit streak here, but no peripheral stats suggesting that he is going to turn it around. Um, Josh Bell has been on a little bit of a heater, and I know largely home run, 4 RBIs, and 3 hit game in that thrilling comeback. Um, that led to some tears against the Mets was a large part of his recent success. But 11 RBIs and 6 extra base hits over his last 10 games is super solid for Josh Bell at a $3,800 price tag. So I definitely like that. Uh, Other than that, like Aranda is in the lefty split against Tanner Houck. If you want to go there, that's really it for me. So there's no punts that I find to be like really interesting. So let's move our attention over to second base. Let's get back up to the top. Jose Altuve, if you want to pay 5,500, we know how good he's been historically against left-handed pitching, but 5,500 is a very steep price at the second base position. Jordan Westberg, another guy you can pay up for, like the eligibility, second, third. Sonny Gray coming off back-to-back really poor starts. So if you want to get to Westberg, you can. I know this is a lefty-lefty spot, but like every day, notification sent to the phone. Oh, another day, another Bryce Terang stolen base. Another day, another productive Bryce Terang day. I mean, he's just been pretty incredible. So if he is playing, against a lefty, then I definitely have interest in Terang regardless of split. This is a pretty great spot. Uh, Palacios homered the other day. Julian won't be in the lineup against a lefty. Luis Rengifo, though, I mean, this guy mashes lefties, and it's been a continuous thing that he has hit lefties year in year out. So if you want to get to Rengifo, I like that decision. Second base, third base, has been running a lot this year. Obviously, just returned off his IL stint and has looked pretty good since returning. Two of the three games, he's been super productive. Double digit fantasy points in those two. So if you want to get the Renhefo, I like it. Michael Massey has some pop in his bat. There's some home run upside, but again, Reese Olson has really just shut everything in the air down. It's been all on the ground. Um, Luis Garcia slowed down after a pretty good start to the year. Uh, yeah, Jorge Mateo, last year's best 1 month player of all time, just been average. I do like the Joey Ortiz split here, facing the lefty. I mean, he's been pretty good. Hits in 6 straight games, hitting 292 on the year, and that's been elevated. 343, 395, 686 slash line over his last 10 games. I definitely like some Joey Ortiz, even if he's hitting at the bottom of the lineup. That doesn't necessarily um, turn me away. So I could definitely see myself getting there. Dylan Gorman, look, he goes through stretches, and we've seen this where he's going to hit a lot of home runs, and he's hit home runs in two of his last three, and really two back to back starts. He didn't start on Sunday against the Red Sox, but when Gorman has it going, there is home run appeal. So I like Nolan Gorman for a cheap punt in tournaments. Nothing more than a one off. Um, And that's it. So let's move over to third base, where Rafael Devers continues to just, I mean, I don't know who made him angry, but he is taking it out on baseballs right now. Home runs in 5 straight games. And like, it's just one of those things where I just will never understand why uh, when someone is on this much of a heater or someone this good is on a heater, his price doesn't move. But that's what we have here with Devers. And why would we not continue to play him? I know I touted Taj Bradley at the beginning of this, and I know it's a relatively tough park to hit in. But Devers is just on one of those. He's just on one of those benders, man. I mean, 5 straight games with a home run, and his price hasn't budged. So Rafael Devers at the top of third base is an elite play, $5,000. If Michael Garcia gets on, he is going, he is stealing, he is running. We're starting to see that a little bit more as he, is hitting. Hits in 7 straight and 10 of his last 11 overall. He's looked really good over that span. Obviously at the top of the lineup. Obviously not the best spot going up against Olson, but if he gets on, I mean, righty on the mound, obviously that's the advantage for Garcia to run. So I like Garcia there. Bregman, he continues to hit, man. He's going to be, I guarantee he's going to be pretty popular, just given how bad Detmers has been, how good Houston is against left-handed pitching once again this year. So 4,200 for Alex Bregman is going to be a pretty popular play. If I had to guess, other than that, Nick Senzel, I mean, he's fallen off a cliff since a pretty good start to the year. Um, Oliver Dunn's in AAA. Osvaldo has fallen off. You can get to Jose Miranda, who has a split advantage here. I do think the Twins are a little bit interesting. Course, first solo pod I do, Twins propaganda is back. For shout out to anyone that listened all last year. But Miranda did homer the last time we saw him start, so I think that's a little bit interesting. John Birdie has been kind of weirdly good for the Yankees of late, and we know he is really fast. He also homered on Sunday. You know, $3,000. If he's hitting last, you get a wraparound stack with the top of the Yankees lineup. I don't necessarily hate that, but there's nothing else that I'm really all that interested in. So yeah, let's go over to the shortstop position where Bobby Witt Jr. tops the list. Struggling a little bit, but it's good to see Bobby Witt hits in 3 straight games. No stolen bases in a little bit, no power in a little bit, but we know that he can turn it up at any point. So I'm definitely interested there. Obviously, you can get to Mookie Betts, who also hasn't necessarily been. I mean, he got off to such a crazy start where he homered in 4 straight games. It's been a slow burn since then, but he's hey slow burn and he's hitting 340. So if you want to get there, by all means. And if you want to get to Gunnar Henderson, who hit his after hitting his league leading 14th on Saturday, hit his league leading 15th home run on Sunday. Home runs in 3 straight games. Gets a Sonny Gray that's struggling here. Uh, what can you say about what negative can you say about Gunnar Henderson? Oh, he only has a 270 average. Is that where we're picking and choosing? But 5,900 for Gunnar, absolutely no issues getting there. Obviously, I do like Pablo Lopez, so I don't think I'm going to pay $5,700 for CJ Abrams. Also, probably not going to pay $5,000 for Adamas outside of a full Brewer stack. Um, for anyone who has followed Willie Adamas throughout the years, his road splits against lefties are not his premier split. It's home splits versus righties. That's been his weirdly dominant track record. So, unless it's a full stack, I'm probably not going to go there. Can definitely play Volpe if you want, but for 4,900 against a pretty good pitcher, I would rather just save a couple $100 and play Jeremy Pena for four at 4,500, who's going to hit in the middle of this Astros lineup in a really good spot against Reed Detmers, and he's been really good this year. So Jeremy Pena at 4,500 makes a lot of sense to me. Then we move down to the value tier. Well, Carlos Correa is here. He just all power in Carlos Correa's bat is gone. That's because his brother's probably playing in place of him in his body. Uh, Shout out to anyone that listened to Friday's live stream where we gave out we obviously predicted Dylan Moore home run. Salute to Howard. He was all over it. So to me, I was all over it. We knew Dylan Moore was going to homer. No, but seriously, if he finds himself leading off, so be it. Play Dylan Moore at 36. Because there is not much else. I mean, Zach Nato is an interesting play against a lefty, but obviously that lefty being Framber Valdez is not, the most appealing target. So if you want to play him, um, Ceddanne Rafaela has obviously all the talent in the world defensively. Offensively, it has not come around for him. So let's finish this thing off in the outfield, where we have a lot of really elite talent, and we don't need to harp on all of them. But obviously, if you want to play Otani, you can play Juan Soto, who's kind of struggling. You can play Aaron Judge, who's not struggling. He has a lot of home runs now, and when everyone was worried about Aaron Judge, 1,500 OPS over his last 10 games. So that seems hashtag pretty good. Kyle Tucker has never, ever in his life had issues with left-handed pitching, and it's not starting this year. So if you want to play Kyle Tucker, he has been amazing. He is, because of his 2 home runs, tied for the league with Gunnar Henderson with 15. Same thing can be said for Yordan Alvarez. Obviously, hasn't had the same year that Tucker's had, but we know Alvarez is one of the premier offensive talents in baseball. So you can get to either of those guys. If you're not playing Joe Ross, like Chisholm's fine. Don't really want to pay that premium, but he's fine. Um, Taylor Ward kind of had a big home run surge over the weekend and last week in general, 3 home runs in a row. Only 1 for 4 on Sunday, but if you want to get to Taylor Ward hitting in the middle of the lineup against Framber, the Angels are going to be super, super contrarian, so you can definitely get there. Jarren Duran leading off, hasn't stolen as many bases lately, but he keeps hitting. I mean, 5-game hit streak. The runs batted in have been nice. So have the runs scored. So if you want to play Jaron Duran atop the Sox lineup, you can. Continuing our descent down the outfield position, I mean, Buxton has been better. I'm still a little bit confused where the power has gone, where the speed has gone. Just walking on eggshells to stay healthy, I guess, at this point. Just doing the bare minimum while he swings the bat just to stay healthy. But uh, signs of life out of Buxton. Last 10 games, 333, average 938 OPS, gets a lefty here. So I don't hate Byron Buxton, 44. Josh Lowe, 43. He's been good. Kerry Carpenter has been really good against right-handed pitching this year. Obviously, gets the matchup against Michael Wacha in this spot. You can absolutely play him. Kowser, after a really hot start, has slowed. Little resurgence over the weekend here. Getting on base a lot, but nothing I'm like really jacked about playing at 4,200. Lars Nootbaar has been really good of late, hitting atop the St. Louis lineup. So if you want to get to Nootbaar, I think that is interesting. Then we drop below 4K. Bryce Perkins has been pretty terrible. So I don't think we need to go there. Sal Frelick, lefty left, will probably be out of the lineup here. Milwaukee has so many lefties, dude. Oh my god, they have so many lefties. Um, I mean, I really don't want to stack against Valdez, but the Angels do have a lot of righties that can present problems there. Joe Adell, another one, just add it to the list, $3,500. I think that's in play. MJ Melendez, definitely struggling this year, but he gets the righty lefty split in this occasion. Jason Hayward, it's been, you know, we haven't seen Jason Hayward a lot this year due to injuries, due to the back injuries specifically. But back-to-back games since coming off the IL, in the lineup immediately, double-digit fantasy points in both games, a home run in one and a stolen base in the other. Has a very, very positive matchup here too. So if you're stacking Dodgers and you want some exposure to someone cheap, because obviously, when you talk about the Dodgers, everyone's expensive. You're talking Otani, you're talking Freeman, you're talking Betts. Like those dudes are 5,500 plus, all three of them. So Will Smith is over $5,000. Muncie, Jason Hayward is $3,300. And has looked good in the 2 games since returning, and is in a good spot against Slade Caccione. So catch. Words are hard, guys. Words are freaking hard. But you know what I mean. You can definitely get to Jason Hayward there. Moving down the list, Akil Baddoo, Triple A. Shout out to him. He'll be great late season MLB DFS. Manny Margot only hits lefties, so if you want to play him, I mean, 195 average is obviously less than ideal, but has hit lefties his whole career. Eddie Rosario has been really great of late. $3,100, 1,200 OPS over his last 10 games, 4 home runs over that span. Um, Pablo Lopez isn't. I love Pablo Lopez on the slate, but it's not like Pablo Lopez is the best pitcher in the world. I mean, we're just coming off a game where he allowed 11 hits. So I do have mild interest in Rosario as a one-off, not anything that I'm looking to play um, too much of. And then when we start talking about guys um, under 3K, Martin was sent down. Kerstead was sent down. I don't think anything. I guess this is interesting. Miguel Vargas had been raking at AAA. If he's in the lineup, we'll see. I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup against a righty, but we'll see if he's in the lineup. I think that's a little bit interesting. So yeah, we'll see what the lineups look like tomorrow. Come the live stream at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see if who's in the lineup, who's out of the lineup, more value opening up then. But let's go ahead and start building a lineup here. I'm gonna just, for the sake of this, to save some money, I'm gonna plug Joe Ross. And we'll pair him with Pablo Lopez, who I really like here. And if we need some money, we'll go from Lopez to Lopez to Taj Bradley. I think those are both viable options. But I said it before. I really like Gary Sanchez at 3,700, so we'll go with Sanchez. Here, I like the prices on the Houston guys, Jeremy Pena and Alex Bregman. Those were the two price tags that stood out to me the most about or with Houston. Um, and I didn't mention it. Yeah, he's on still in the IL. Let's go back to first. Who did we like at first base? I did like Josh Bell. If you're not playing Joe Ross, which newsflash, we are. So let's try to get some Dodgers exposure here. We'll go Otani. I think Hayward made a lot of sense on the outfield, $3,300. Getting some Dodgers connection there. Obviously, not a real connection because they're not going to bat next to one another. But I did want to get to Joey Ortiz here. Him and Gary Sanchez will probably hit right near each other in the lineup. 45 $4,500 for the remaining two positions here. What did we like here? What did we like here? What did we like spend ups? And then we'll see what we got left. I mean, we could go three stack with Tucker. Pass the ball to Tucker. Let's see what we got. Shout out to Hey Arnold for all those that know, they know. Anything that we like down here under $3,000. I mean, if Miguel Vargas played, obviously $2,200. Let's do this because I said we could do this earlier. We're gonna double, no spend ups at pitcher, so we'll just get $4,400 for our final outfield spot. I do like Buxton in this spot. I just don't know where the power is gone. I do like Carpenter, despite liking Michael Waka. I think we're gonna go with Buxton at 4,400. I know the power hasn't been there, but signs of life for Byron Buxton here, as mentioned. So for the audio listeners out there, Ross and Bradley on the mound, Gary Sanchez behind the plate, Shohei Otani at first base, Joey Ortiz at second base, Alex Bregman at third, Jeremy Pena at shortstop, and then in the outfield, rounding out our build, Jason Hayward, Kyle Tucker, and Byron Buxton. That'll do it for today's 8-game breakdown over on DraftKings. But before I get out of here, please let me make sure I remind you guys, if you want to subscribe over on Fantasy Alarm right now, we have a 40% off deal going on our annual subscription. That is, I can't miss because you're getting 40% off on the year. It is a can't miss deal. So go subscribe to our All Pro package right now. All those that are watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you would be so kind. Also hit the thumbs up button as well. It really helps us in the YouTube streets and in the YouTube algorithm. So that'll do it for today's eight game breakdown. Again, we will have the live stream coming back at 4 p.m. Eastern. I am James Grande. I will catch you guys later.